back to the Disability Channel in Suite 303. We're here at the Kerrigan Arms Pub in City of Burlington. Big shout out to Deb and Dave. Thanks guys for holding this event. Big shout out to our sponsors, Labatt's, Paramount, Cogeco, on and on, all the golf clubs, passes. We're having a silent auction. What I want to do is I want to introduce our special guest we have from Q107, the very own John Derringer and his daughter Maddie. Thanks, John.
Jay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you.
We're really excited as it's a great cause. It's an autism fundraiser, all about awareness, information, education, togetherness, and community. So, John, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate the Q107 support all week. He's been promoting this event on his radio station. So, wow, we are just so thankful, John.
Our pleasure, Jay.
What we like to do today is talk about the dynamics between the autism spectrum and the families. Great. So we know that autism has been all in the newspapers lately. People are just, the awareness is great, the support is amazing, but it never stops. So John, can you tell us a little bit about your perspective from a family dynamic with Maddie?
Well, we ended up finding out, Maddie's 15, and over the course of the first 13 years of her life, finding out all these things that, we had absolutely no idea about. And when we got Maddie's original diagnosis, when she was what, probably 10 or 11?
13.
No, but the original ADHD.
It was 10 or 11.
Yeah, about 10 or 11. Maddie's mom, my wife Charlene, said, you know what, I don't think they've quite got it, and I think we have to go back and see just what is going on here. And in the process of this, we found out some things that, again, we just had no idea about. For instance, on the whole, that it is tougher in many cases to diagnose girls than boys.
Oh, really?
So that we found this out during this process, and that in girls, they are often diagnosed much later than in boys.
And was there a reason for that? Like, now that you know, is it because...
I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess and be wrong about it. Okay. But that's statistically the case.
That's a great piece of information, because I bet you a lot of people weren't aware of that.
Yeah.
Now, Maddie, let me ask you. Now, I know you're the oldest sister.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So tell us a little bit how you interact with your sisters every day, and do they get it, or do they know what's going on, or?
So my sisters and I get along pretty well. We get along like sisters. There are like times where we argue and stuff. But my younger sister Riley has a bit of a harder time understanding how autism works.
Okay.
But my middle sister Jessica, she gets it. She's like very intelligent, so she like gets onto things very quickly. So the dynamic between us is pretty good.
That is wonderful. And how about yourself? So tell us a little bit about your personal experience, how you're, I guess, coping with autism. What do you like? What would you wish you could sort of, get over, stuff like that?
Okay. So like how I'm dealing with autism, I honestly don't mind much. Like it just gave me answers to things that I didn't know when I was younger. But it was hard being diagnosed at the age of 13. Like, bam, you're a teenager, here's autism! Like, it was...
Wow,
yeah.
that's so amazing.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
We love. And yourself, John, so with your wife, so tell us a little bit about the day-to-day, I guess, benefits and struggles.
Well, one of the things is that Maddie just needs more of our time than her sisters do, right? Just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I think that it's been a process with them to understand it's not about amount of love, it's not about, we want to spend more time with Maddie, it's just that is what the requirement is.
That's right, yeah.
And there are things that we have to do, maybe with her, that we don't have to do with the other kids. There are processes that we have to go through with Maddie that they don't require.
Okay.
So that part of it, I think, it affects them a lot as well, right? Because I think before she got her diagnosis, it was easier for them to question why we spent so much of our time dealing with Maddie's stuff.
Makes sense.
And they saw it in the way that kids tend to see things, which is only through their own eyes. And I think as a family, and I'll let Mad speak for herself, but I thought it was a great day for our whole family when we finally got the diagnosis. And I'll tell you something, we went through this process I guess started when she was about 12, and the paperwork is exhaustive, but out of 100 questions, there were probably 30 that really surprised us because we had no idea they fell under the autism spectrum. One is motor skills, right? I mean,
I can't write.
and that's something that we didn't really put together with being on the autism spectrum until we were told that from professionals.
Now I know because we deal with a lot of people on the spectrum, and I know we do a lot of youth on the spectrum, and they seem to really take to video games. They really sort of the faster the game, the quicker their brain sort of connects with the game. I have a lot of the Game Boy and all. I have a lot of youth.
Yeah.
Do you do video games?
No, I don't.
No, eh?
Yeah.
What type of special interests do you like? What do you like?
Sports and musical theater.
Oh, sports like what?
I like watching hockey. I like watching NASCAR.
Mads is a very good.
Well, you know, we do need a young youth in our sports department.
Hey, there you go.
Again, we're here with John and Maddie. John Derringer from Q107, his lovely daughter Maddie. They're sharing all about family dynamics when it comes to the spectrum, when it comes to autism. John, I really want to thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, Jay, our pleasure. It really is.
Maddie, this was great.
Thank you for having me.
You know what I wanted to mention? Great to see Sil Simone here today. And Sil and I met.
Tell us the
He
story.
was in I think his band Simon Chase was in the 3rd Q107 Homegrown contest, which goes back to when I started there in '84. And I think it was the following year that Sil and his band were in the homegrown contest. So it was great to run into him here.
Well, Sil is such a big supporter. Me and Sil go way back. He's been a supporter of my channel, The Bar. I know he mentioned you. Tell us one more dynamic story, a music story that you want to share with us. That you can share with us.
Well, so I'll give an example. Last night, Maddie's mom hadn't watched the Queen movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. And so we were watching Bohemian Rhapsody, and at the end of it, we watched this incredible little mini trailer on how they put together the Live Aid show at Wembley in London, England in 1985. And there was essentially like nobody in the crowd, and they all did this by computer. And the stadium isn't even there anymore. Wow. So they had to, and there wasn't even a model of Wembley, the old Wembley. So they had to take pictures and redesign it so when you see that movie, everything but what's happening on stage is unreal. And they didn't realize that I was at Live Aid in Philadelphia that day. And we take a family road trip every year when school gets out, and we're going to go to Philadelphia. And in Philadelphia, the stadium was the old JFK Stadium, which was already on its last legs in 1985.
Right.
But Maddie was asking about some of my favorite concerts, and I said it was pretty hard to top that day. That has kind of taken on a new life again because of the Queen performance in Bohemian Rhapsody. So
That's what
good times.
I'm sure you have so many more to share with us. Again, we're here with John Derringer and Maddie from Q107. I want to thank them for coming today. What we're going to do, thank you so much. What we're going to do, we're going to get the second set going, and then during the second break, I believe we're going to be doing some of the raffles and giveaways and everything. So I want to thank everybody for coming in. I want to thank John.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, time for music. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the Disability Channel and Suite 303.